The sea gives me on your wings. Hear the sound of my foot, and you will be healed. Never mind those things that happen at night. So sorry to wake you. So sorry to wake you. Sweet dreams.
Greetings, the name of the Most High. Still morning. I don't know if you can see these, but I finally got my shades here on these windows, and they open and close. You can program it on your phone, whatever, and it's just a really nice thing to have. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't realize I needed them. I didn't realize how cool it is to suddenly just change the atmosphere when the sun is glaring in. Okay, so onward to satanic ritual abuse, black magic, the occult. Having grown up in all that, I got a lot of I know a lot of people that dabble in all this stuff, and I just have to tell you that let me just try another time. I mean, I'm now, but let me try once again. As Charlie Kirk found out all too recently, Satan is real. Satan rules over Earth. Satan's minions, occultism, occult practitioners, witches, etc., are whether they say they're good witches, bad witches, good occultists, bad occult, doesn't really matter. It's all coming from the same source. So it's not that they're bad people or necessarily hateful. It's just that they're part of aligned with evil, and that evil will eventually destroy them. When I had let me just give you a poignant example. When I was hospitalized and almost dead, every organ destroyed. That's right, I'm still here, but it's only by the grace of God. I had been writing an intense novel called, I think it was, Angels v. Witches, or Witches v. Angels, one or the other. And it was about a hospital experience and about how witchcraft had taken over the hospital, and the various rituals going on had to do with human sacrifice, with the idea of harvesting, of dismembering body parts and delivering them elsewhere, having them picked up on a semi daily basis, was part of and parcel of the hospital's um, way of operation. And this is what helps shore up the bottom line. Most hospitals are in the red until the idea of human organ trafficking comes along. Then all of a sudden they're in the black. When COVID came along, a lot of them went into the black because they were getting 50 some odd $1,000 per cadaver, right? So they had an incentive to intubate people to death. Now, so I'm writing about all this stuff, but from the point of view of a fiction, of a character that's there, based on my prior hospitalization. And I felt like I was in a cult. They all wore the same watch. They all had the same kind of expressions. They all wear uniforms. But it was just becoming more and more clear that it was like completely in the hands of the medical establishment. And we all hear this, but it's in the hands of the black magic practitioners. When I say black magic, as opposed to say white magic, there is no, I make no distinction. Black magic, white magic, magic is just magic. And a lot of what happens with drugs and different things and the alchemical reactions and things that they do and things they say, even to the point of sabotaging me, and eventually that led to a near death experience at the hands of a nurse with flaming red hair named Reb or something, and who turned off my oxygen. And as I came out of the OR on an operation, a major operation on my lung, my collapsed lung, which was actually not completely necessary, but they sold me on it. And so I've been writing about this before I got there. I mean, this is the second hospitalization, so I'm writing about it after the first one. And the character, kind of based on myself, was seeing things like snakes with human heads crawling across the ceiling, and strange, just strange creatures, much like you would see in something like our film Bride of Reanimator, only these are real. And then the real operation is revealed. And there's also a huge sex trafficking and pedophilia network going on at the same time. So I'm writing about this stuff, and I'm not writing to blame. I'm writing it just saying this happened, this happened, this is happening. I'm seeing this. A bus pulls up that looks like a military bus every Tuesday night, and it's loaded up with what looks like boxes and boxes of sterilized boxes of body parts and human organs. And I'm in the theater. I'm able to leave my body now because the drugs I'm being given, and I'm in the surgery theater, and I can see that my nurse, who is the head hospital nurse, is like a high priestess, and she is conducting human sacrifice in the OR, and then simply cutting out the organs, getting them ready for distribution. There's a guy there that we call Sarge, and Sarge was the guy that was showing me the bus, and that we had to do something about this. And meanwhile, I'm fairly crippled. I'm old. I'm sick. They're threatening to take me to a psychiatric if I keep talking the way I was talking. And this literally happened as well. And it's very dark and very disturbing to the point where a lot of my readers couldn't read on any further. They just couldn't keep going. And I was having a hard time writing, but it was, I was stirring something up because suddenly I had gotten an infection, reinfected. And then, my legs went, my organs went, everything went, and I had to be hospitalized and then transported down to Albuquerque um, in kind of like a semi-intensive care thing that dealt with infectious diseases. In other words, you couldn't see me unless I was infected, so you had to put on protective clothing to be around me. You know, so it's very serious. I was also losing my mind. I was going in and out of reality. I forgot my name or where I was, or all this happened, and I had always thought to myself, when I was writing that very scary angels versus witches. When I refer to angels, I'm referring to areas of the hospital that were timeless, that were portals to other times. Like, for example, I was in a room that was a portal. You'll just have to take this with a grain of salt. And, I just bleary eyed awakened at night, and I could see that the whole room had like 1890s, you know, stuff and furniture and the decorum. And there were people there, the young nurses, that were talking to me about that I don't know who I really am. And then the room switched back, and I kept talking about it. And then I saw the same nurse, maybe a 23-year-old, young. I know she was from India, so and she said, it's best you stop talking about this stuff, about the portals. Okay, now witches are known for using portals, shape shifting, using all kinds of and then lots of things that I'm not aware of because I'm not a practitioner, nor am I a student of it. But I do know that what you're dealing with in witchcraft is quantum mechanics. So at least give me credit for that much. So it's very real, and and when you uh, go to some of these places, and you see some of these sites where there's been a lot of blood, a lot of sacrifice, battles, things like that. There's a lot of. It's almost like you've just glued millions of eyes on you, and these will follow you wherever you go, and they will follow you until there is a crisis, and then they will try to kill you off in the crisis if you've stepped over the line. That is, if you are looking to expose it as evil. And so that network extends down here to this hospital and then up here, and then the practitioners worldwide of the occultic arts, the dark arts, the black magic, the rituals, and so forth and so on, span the globe. And there really is, they're if they're being nice to you, they're trying to woo you, you in to initiate you. Initiation is a big part of it. Mm. Then if there's a wall, in my case, total head to toe infection, just instantaneous zap. And I'm in the ambulance and gone. And then, Trish has been preparing for there's a 2-week period there. They're telling her to get my things ready to be, for funeral rites. I kept remembering back to that novel I had been writing and how I realized I'd made a mistake. And I shut it down because I'd, somehow crossed the line. I know too much, maybe, or the way I presented it, or something I did. I might not even know what I did. And got myself head to head with this, with the snake, with this dragon. And, the dragon represents all power over the entire community. I mean, they had a grip on this hospital up here, the one in Albuquerque, the drivers, the shop owners, and pretty soon you begin to see, like young Goodman Brown, is there anyone who isn't in on this? And then if it continues to be a problem, then they try to sideline you through psychiatry. That is, you continue to talk. And then, of course, there's a death. And that's why you don't have witnesses. Now, there was a book written in the 80s called Michelle Remembers in Canada at the behest of her psychiatrist, one Lawrence something or other. Anyway, he, her handler, basically. And it inspired what they call 80s satanic panic, or, everybody suddenly having memories in their dreams and going to their shrinks and saying, I remember being abducted and taken to a place and a ritual and, babies killed in my honor, for my power, and blood poured all over me. And then I woke up in my bed and I don't remember anything after that. And so that became a way of mocking the whole thing. There is no satanic panic. It's just conspiracy. In other words, satanic panic is just that, conspiracy theories, all unproven accusations. Or as Richard Stanley, the film director, says, this is a mind virus that goes from one to the other. When one thinks they've had an experience of abuse, then the next one has. Then the next one's been abused. And all of it's fake. And the victims, people with normal careers, et cetera, are the unfortunate, victims of a smear campaign based on something that isn't real anyway. And that is 100% false. That's in our documentary. I have it there for a reason, but I mean, this is my view on it. I didn't make the documentary. If I did, I wouldn't have put him in there. But anyway, he's in there, presented very nicely. He gets to have his say. It's all satanic panic. People that are abused need to shut the fuck up, is basically what he says. It's terrible, happens to everybody, it's bad. You gotta just pick up with your life and go on. And acting as if it has no connection with the occultic realms, then we hear him talking about, opening up portals. I can tell you this, trying to conjure people from the past, wizards and various people, and excerpt their power while denying the power exists in the first place, being a complete, total either liar or hypocrite in so doing, unless I have it wrong, which I don't think I do. An elaborate way of, and remember what we were talking about yesterday, like, if they sense you're on any side but Satan's. In other words, there's a side of Satan where everyone knows it's true, but everyone would deny that it's real. The greatest trick Satan ever did was to convince people that he doesn't exist. And so neither does satanic ritual abuse. Neither do, the whole adrenochrome thing and all the rest of it. It's just fairy tales. Here's the problem. When you venture into these things without the unction of the Lord, I'm not talking about the protection. Please protect us, Lord. Charlie Kirk had a Catholic priest. It's interesting how when people really get in trouble with the demonic side, they call the Catholics up. Isn't that interesting, folks? They all do it. They call a Catholic in to do the prayer when there needs to be deliverance from demons or possession. Isn't that something? And I believe I don't think it's a flaw. I think there's a reason for it. I think there's probably a pretty good reason for it. But you having protection, and I've got protection, but do I go play on the freeway? No, I don't. Thou shalt not tempt the Lord your God. You know that. Jesus can't throw himself down off the cliff because he would thus be tempting the Lord our God, which is a no-no. And that's what he tells Satan. And and Satan offered him the worship of all institutions on earth, meaning he had control of every last one. He has control of everything on the earth. So when you start, there I am writing my book thinking I'm, hidden and immune. And the next thing I am, I'm in critical condition on my deathbed, staring face to face in the thing that I was talking about. Only now I'm the victim. Now, can I prove there was satanic ritual abuse somewhere? There are witches somewhere where there no proof there's a witch, no proof there's Satan, no proof anyone sexually abused anyone, no proof that they murdered someone and drank the blood and ate the heart and ate the flesh and dismembered them and put them all over the place. I mean, we have some proof from the cartels in Mexico, and we got some proof for some hardcore violent people, some beheadings here and there, but it's not the satanic ritual abuse type of hierarchy, which absolutely exists, especially in they're just buried in, say, the upper echelons of secret societies. Okay, and they do crave children for numerous things, for power. And so yes, there are children, but why is there no evidence? Because the child never makes it back home. So there's no evidence. And whether it be, any of these people, I don't really want to, rag on Stanley because he's just a filmmaker, but I mean, he's a big occultic practitioner, and he's he has it. I don't think he really understands. To people, I told you I've got friends like that back in LA. That the same thing when they celebrate Charles Manson, and then a lot of them think that LA is the hub for Satan, and they celebrate psychiatry, and they celebrate psychiatric ritual abuse. Is ritual abuse, but what's the ritual? You'll never know the ritual. It'll never be defined with candles and pentagrams. It'll just happen. The plane crashed. So-and-so was on the plane. Problem solved. So it happens with assassinations. It happens in all kinds of different ways. Charlie Kirk was the subject to, I think, 3 witches who were hired to throw spells on Kirk, to hex Kirk. And, which they did in August. And then, they tried to bring a priest in to pray to bust it up, but too late. He was not just dead, but spectacular, with a gush of blood, like a fire hose level of blood just exploding from his body. Very dramatic, as if to say, we did this, bitches. So what are you going to do about it? Blame the lone gunman? You going to go through that again? You dumb fucks. So, so my message here to any Christian is this. I understand, it's one thing to research. Okay, yes, I made a mistake of delving in there perhaps without the unction, although I believed I had the unction of the Lord. Maybe I didn't. But anyway, it resulted in me getting, my ass kicked. But good. I mean, real good. So, and then, and all the men were into it, all the women. I didn't see anyone that wasn't recruited, right? And they're all kind of wearing these I don't even want to go into to do that later when I'm writing. If I get the go ahead to write. Right now, I'm just thinking of writing things from my childhood. Things I remember, and it's funny. They'll do anything to discredit you. If I mentioned it, and when I mentioned it in the documentary, I was mentioning something that to me was fairly normal and widespread, and just seemed to be the norm of the way it worked in LA, and big business and big money and big politics and big movies and big everything, and that the people are involved in nefarious things. That is, it's all organized, all ranked. Everyone has a rank. Everyone has another name. There are two worlds, and these people have been initiated into higher degrees of this other world, and which means the power that they wield comes from the other world, not from this one. And yeah, they'll kill you. They Kirk was a threat to globalism, pure and simple. And so they're intent on globalism. Anything that gets in their way, including Trump, is to be mowed over. And they're just getting more and more, crazy with the totalitarian. But they are, all of them, what I would call practitioners, or rely on others who are. And so certain sites. Okay, here's a site. And I've been to these sites, and for me, it all depends on the individual. One person might get the unction from the Lord to go research all this. Another person might say, stand down. There's a weakness or vulnerability in you that you should not expose yourself to that world right now. You should protect yourself. So my admonition to people is, don't, unless you have the unction of the Lord. That means that your life's purpose is really a part of it, not just you fancy it, or it was part of your, you were fascinated with black magic, the occult, and all these things since you were a child. I understand that. A lot of people were. But I also understand you're dealing with something very, very dangerous. And once you get past a certain age, you're no longer protected like a child would be. You're held responsible for what you've done. And if you've opened up a can of worms there and it's coming at you, don't expect that through your ignorance and your arrogance that you're going to suddenly be saved. You may not be. So that's all I really wanted to impart. Have no part with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. Why do I get to know the ins and outs of all the rituals? They got rituals for every holiday. They got rituals for all the Jewish holidays, for all the moving of the sun, for all the celestial holidays, for all the celestial events. And they always involve either sex, murder, cannibalism, some sympathetic magic, to be sure. And, I can see them. I remember when there was this one witch that was, trying to get control of us or something. And I had perceived that she had put two figurine dolls in and this is a psychic perception, in a pyramid cage inside a pentagram. And she was sitting there trying to conjure up this, sort of, make us susceptible to her ways. She was a mega witch. And it was on a musician site. And so I had written the song Pyramid Cage, which was a silly little song, all sped up and slowed down. And it sounded like Alvin and the Chipmunks at times. Not a very good song, but the point is that when she heard that, when she saw that I could see her and what she was doing, she disappeared and never came back. So you see, I didn't fight it direct head on. I was used in the fight against it by God. So there's a difference between unction, and I had the unction to be where I was at the time. They were starting to do some music. They put it to a video, and they were doing like a little bit of a ritual in that music. So I kindly asked the woman producer, I said, is that what I think it is? Is that a ritual? And she goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She pulled it and she ran. Just at the mention, at someone with wide-eyed really wanted to know, me, I just wanted to know, is that a ritual that you shot? And I think she meant to tell me that it was quite a common thing, initiating people into their circus. And that's the thing. Are you going to be strong enough to resist that? Because once you're initiating the circus, that lip service to Jesus becomes worthless. And as far as protection, there is none. I almost had no sleep, so I'm going to go take a couple of Z's. And I understand. I'll see you.
Watch out for the pyramid cave. You do wear a little wicker basket. Watch out for the pyramid cave. You think it's your idea, but
There was really nowhere to go outside the train yard that day. It really wasn't anyone's fault, but Joey forgot the money. That's not cool, man. That's not cool, man. A lot of people hurting for certain, Joey.
pyramid cave. You do wear a little wicker basket.
Hey, it's a good kid. Nah, leave him alone. He's a good kid. I'll leave him alone. He's a good kid.
Watch out for the pyramid game. They count you and make you look bad.
Watch out for the pyramid cave. You do wear a little wicker basket. Watch out for the pyramid cave. Live under a pyramid cage. My thoughts are not my own.
Watch out for the pyramid cage. They trap you and make you look bad. Watch out for the pyramid cage. You seem to do good, but then you do bad.
Joey forgot
money. That's not cool. That's not cool.
Watch out for the pyramid cage. They trap you and make you feel bad.
You seek to do good, but then you do bad.
Watch out for the pyramid cage. You blossom under their command.
Watch out for the pyramid cage. They track you down, they make you look bad. Watch out for the pyramid cage. You seek to do good, but then you do bad. Watch out for the pyramid cage. Watch out for the pyramid cage. You seek to do good, but then you do bad. Watch out for the pyramid cage.
Watch out for the pyramid cage.
Woke up smoking cigarettes in the bar,
You do well
waiting for the There was really nowhere to go outside the train yard that day. It really wasn't anyone's fault, but Joey forgot the money. That's not cool.
Watch out for the pyramid cage. Watch out for the pyramid cage. You do well under the wicker basket. Watch out for the pyramid cage. Watch out for the pyramid cage. Think it's your idea, but it's really theirs. I live under a pyramid cage. Stop, I'm not my own.
I live under the wicker cage.
Think I'm doing well, continue.
Just the same.
Watch out for the pyramid cage. You do well under the wicker basket.
Now you watch out for that wicker cage, that pyramid cage.
Watch out for the pyramid
wicked
cage. You think it's your idea, but it's really theirs.
I'll leave him alone. He's a good kid.